Let's go, baby.
Okay. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
All right, so here we're here with another one, and the title is basically the real Jews were brutally forced into Christianity. So I got some information that I wanted to touch on, and I got Bishop Ayathan is here,
Shalom.
and the brother he said shalom, so we're just gonna go into it. So I guess I'll start off with here with Deuteronomy, where the Most High said, I'll start at the first, Deuteronomy 28:1.
Okay.
And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy power. Yeah, I'm hearing an echo now.
Okay.
To observe and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy power will set thee on high above all nations that are upon the face of the earth. The Lord said, if we observe and do his commandments, that he was going to set us up on high above all nations. Not, he wasn't going to give us equality. He was going to put us over these nations. And then he says in verse 2, and all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, and thou shalt, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field, right? But now here's the flip side of that. The flip side of that is Deuteronomy 28:15, where the Lord says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Now the Lord said, if you don't observe the commandments and the statutes that I give you now, all these curses are going to come upon thee. Then he goes on to say, verse 16, cursed shalt thou be in the city, cursed shalt thou be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket, cursed shall be thy store. You wonder why we're the last hired, first fired. There's a video that was up on YouTube of a Jake walking in a certain neighborhood in Florida. He's just walking with a drink in his hand, drinking, and the people, the Edomites that's there in the neighborhood, are coming up to him and asking, what are you doing here? Why are you here? And he's just walking through the neighborhood. He ain't stealing anything. He didn't approach anybody. He didn't accost anybody. The guy is trying to say, was trying to say to him, well, you tried to talk to my wife. In other words, that he scared his wife. The man didn't say nothing to the guy's woman. The scriptures say, cursed shall thou be in the city, cursed shall thou be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket in thy store. If you try to put money away, keep that money away for a rainy day or for something that you want to do for yourself, and then boom, something happens with your car. The money you saved got to go right then and there. Your vehicle break down, you got to get it towed, you got to get it fixed. Money gone. Cursed shall be thy basket in thy store. You basically don't have nothing. The majority of you don't even have $1,000 put to the side for an emergency. And when an emergency comes, it's going to be more than $1,000 anyway. So that's just an example how the Lord said we were going to be cursed. But then on another note,
can I say something? Yeah, but yeah, Khan. So what you're saying, right? And the Most High built this system, right? Which Apostle Gabar used to go into this a lot. The word system means pit. So the system was built as a pit, mainly for Jake. When I say Jake, I'm talking about you so-called Negroes, you so-called indigenous tribes, so-called Latin tribes, right? So-called minorities, that they call us minorities or immigrants, right? So this system here in America was built as a pit. You know, this is why this whole migrant situation, right? When Trump let the migrants in, a lot of the migrants are rushing to get back home because they came here and they said, damn, this place is shit. They can't get a job, they can't pay rent. The people here are cold-hearted, so they're all trying to get home. A lot of them are in the mental hospital because a lot of them they're going nuts, because they can't take it over here. But this place is set up. This place is set up as a pit. So as far as curses the basket in the store, Jake. This system was built in a way to keep Jake down. Now, what Jake tried to do is they want to build what they call generational wealth for children,
which is a goddamn joke.
Yep, because look, you're trying to fight against the curses, which you're not going to win. And this is why Jake, they fall into these traps, right? So one way is what? Okay, we got to create a business, right? We got to create business. Yeah, certain thriving Israelite communities, right? Like the famous one is Black Wall Street, where Jake was doing a little something, but
Yeah,
it got bombed to hell and back.
right.
And
Because they were prospering. See, like
because it
Bishop Python is saying, Black Wall Street got bombed to hell, right? And the crackers, these were crackers that had fought in World War One. They were salivating at the chance to go over there and bomb. I think it was Grape Alpine and I forget the other name of the street. But it was these three particular areas there in Tulsa, and they were they were chomping at the bits to go do it. They also did the same thing in Rosewood down in Florida, and then you had another Black Wall Street in Black Wall Street, Durham, North Carolina, where the same shit was done. And those are like the three most popular, but there's other places all around the United States where Esau, this was a common practice that was happening to Jake in the Midwest,
yeah,
in the Midwest, in the Ohio area, and outskirts of Chicago and all that. Jake's in the middle of the night had to straight up abandon their homes and leave homes that they were paying a mortgage on, or they might have already paid the mortgage off, and they're living in there. They had to evacuate homes and towns in Ohio and different places. There's a book that talks about it called I think it's called Sundown Towns, but it speaks about them in there. There's, I mean, all around the country, and it was mainly focusing like in the Ohio area. In the middle of the night, Jakes had to get up and run and leave out of their houses, and then the Edomites crackers just went up in there and lived up in their houses and took their shit, and they had to take off, no clothes or nothing, grab their kids and run because they were coming in there to kill them and hang them and burn them. So in the middle of the night, they just had to get up and just up and leave their house and all their belongings. And a bunch of fucking crackers went up in there and are living in there still now to this day. You talking about generational wealth, generational theft. That's what's
yeah,
been
but that's sluggy. No, but I was saying that's part of the curse because we weren't brought here to thrive. So Jake has something also called a glass ceiling for you corporate Jakes, and this is a like a point in your career that you cannot pass because this is part of the curses, right? Jake is known for having what? So in order to so-called make it out the hood, they say, oh, you got to start a business. Well, in order to get a business loan, you need good credit, right? And the predicament that the system has Jake in is that the majority of Jake, they don't have good credit. They can't get a business loan. They can't get a car loan to get a nice car. So the system is built to keep you suppressed, so that's the curse is the basket in that store. You know, a lot of Jakes have a little something in their bank account, not much, but by the time the weekend hits, they getting hit with late fees and what's those charges a bank hit you with? If
overdraft. You got overdraft fee. If you
overdraft fees.
You got fees for like a return check. If you didn't have enough funds in there, you get hit with a fee
Yep.
for a check being returned back, like $25 fee or a $40 fee for a return check, plus the amount that was trying to be cashed, and now overdraft fee on top of that.
Right. And so now if you're on like Section 8, right? Let's say you're on Section 8, you're getting government assistance, right? So let's say you want to try to make it out of that. So what they do is they make if you catch yourself trying to get a job to where you're making a little bit, you don't even have to need to make that much. And they say, oh, you're disqualified now. So now they take you off of government assistance. So now you don't make enough to even pay your bills, but the government will say, you know what, you're making too much. And so we have to remove your government assistance. You know what I'm talking about, Taz, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Bishop Taz. And so a lot of Jakes are like, fuck it, I'm just staying on government assistance. And then you're stuck in that hole, But the point is that the way the system is built against Jake is because the Most High put in the minds of these Edomites, and that's to fulfill this curse here that our basket and our store, meaning our financial situation, is going to be in a gutter. That was it.
Yep. It's going to be in the gutter. Now, with all that being said, with the curses, right now, the next or the number one curse, which is Deuteronomy 28:64, the Lord said this, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Among those nations thou shalt find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy feet have rest. But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind. And that's what we're dealing with. A failing of heart, sorrow of mind, trembling of the heart, failing of the eyes, a sorrow of mind. And thy life shall
Oh,
hang in doubt
oh,
before thee.
Slack it,
Yeah,
Slack it. Oh, we got to go into that, man.
yeah.
So it says, she'll give thee there a trembling in a heart, a trembling heart. And you know what I keep thinking of? Remember that scene in damn, what was that movie with MC8 and
Menace to
uh
society.
Menace to Society. Now, the dude that played The Rock, I forgot his name. And
Charles
remember
S. Charles S. Dutton.
huh?
Charles S. Dutton.
Yeah, now he said to the cat, Slack, and my memory's fucked up, but the dude whose cousin got killed, he said, look, look, the cat, what he said,
You're the
the
hunted.
race is on,
You're the
the hunt
racist
is
son, and you're
on.
the hunted. Yep.
And no, he said, and you're the prey.
Yep.
He said, and you're the prey. So basically, man, the way this system is set up, see, Jake had no problem shooting each other, ice grilling each other.
Yep.
But as soon as an Edomite with a suit and a tie walk down the street, they fucking shook.
Right.
They mortified. They get scared. The cops
see,
come, they get scared, they running.
fat ass cop who got a 55-inch waist with a belly like a beach ball, and these motherfuckers all clear the block. He can't even catch you. And these
Yeah.
motherfuckers, they clear the block.
Yep. And hey, you mentioned it earlier, there is something called sundown towns, right? There's no towns where Edomites can't walk through, but there's something called sundown towns where if you walk through that town being a Jake, you probably will not see the next morning.
Okay,
Now
now I'm glad you said that. Now, on the reverse side of that, you got areas where even if you're a Jake and you go walk through there, you're gonna get stepped to, robbed, jumped, and even killed. And this is a Jake neighborhood by other niggas, but you got these fucking crackers that'll walk through a nigga neighborhood and won't get touched. Like you see these Mormons with the white t-shirt and the backpack walking through the hellhole of the hood and they go untouched. Oh, let's talk about Kingston. All these Jamaican niggas talking about Yardman, Kingston, and how rough it is in Kingston. Nah, man, if you go to Kingston, you got to know somebody that you can't just go. There's videos with crackers on YouTube freely walking through Kingston and then being embraced by them fucking Jamaicans. But let one of us go walking through there. Them motherfuckers will come up there with a machete, a gun, and try to fucking rob you. Because you're a foreigner from America or from Canada, and you going there to the yard, you going into Kingston, Spanish Town, any of them places, them niggas over there will rob your ass, but they let the white boy walk through freely. They let the white boy just walk through freely, unaccosted.
yeah, Khan, that's that curse, right? So it says thou shalt find no ease, meaning what? You're not going to be at rest, right?
Right.
This is why we always say that, look, this is their heaven and this is our hell.
Exactly.
Heaven and hell are, yep, which is conditions played out on earth, right? Their hell, their heaven is our hell, right? Because they're in rulership. So it says, neither shall the sole of thy feet have rest, right? Which is true. We don't have no rest in His kingdom. We always say that. The scriptures say that this is not your rest, right? Meaning you're not going to be at ease here. America wasn't built for us to come over here and chill, to chill out. We were brought here to serve fucking slavery, man.
Yep.
And this is why Jake is so fucked up in the head, because they think they came here for a vacation. That wasn't the slave ships were not cruise ships, man.
No.
Those were slave ships.
No, it wasn't a Carnival or Caribbean cruise. It was for slavery. The reason why you came over here was because of commerce, nigga. You niggas came over here. We were brought over here for commerce, and really for commerce, for this devil, and for our punishment to the Heavenly Father, which is what we were reading, 28 and 15 on down. Now, the ultimate curse is, you mentioned a cargo slave ship, so I want to jump down to there and then just get into it. Deuteronomy 28:68, and we're going to come back to this. And the Lord thy power
Okay.
shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. Our homeland, Jerusalem. We shall see it no more again, and he's going to bring us into Egypt with ships, right? The Israelites, when you go into the book, when you go into scripture in the beginning, Israel, 70 souls walked into Egypt. When we left Egypt, we walked out of Egypt into the wilderness of Zin, walked around in a circle for 40 years, and then went into the promised land. This scripture says the Lord was going to bring us into Egypt again, but this time with ships. By the way, wherever he spake unto us, the way he spoke us to us here in Deuteronomy 28. And thou shalt see it no more again, our homeland, Jerusalem. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. How do we come to America? On cargo slave ships. And we were sold on auctioning blocks. The economy of America was built on the backs of the children of Israel. Wall Street, the first commodity they ever sold. The brother's gonna if you want me to pull you up on the screen, add you to the screen right here. Go right ahead. I think you was trying to put something up there. Go right ahead.
Nah. Well, I thought you was gonna. We could bring it up when you go back up to the verse we just left from, because I had a point for about yeah.
All right, so I thought you was gonna put like a slave ship picture up or something, so that's why I added you in. So this is how we came to America. We didn't come here on a vacation. We came here because we were serving punishment that the Lord said we were going to serve. Now, this is the number one thing that shows you we are the Israelites. See, the scriptures is number one, but now you got information in books outside of the scriptures that co-sign what the scriptures are saying. One I'm going to go into right now is a book called The Negroes and the Jews, right? By Lenore E. Burson. Now, this book, I looked and I was looking to try to purchase it, and I knew about it for a while. But let me tell you, this shit right here, if you go to look for this on Amazon or any other outlet, you talking the cheapest version of this is $1,600 for this book. And it's sitting up there for like $1,600 at the lowest, and $1,600, $2,000, and like $3,000. And now this book right here, The Negroes and the Jews by Lenore E. Burson, and it says what? It says the story of the historic alliance of two groups since the 1800s, their struggle for equality with the Americans, and the hostility that has grown between them in the last decades, right? So now the page that I want to go to is page 212. So let me scroll down here to get right to it, so we can get right to it.
I got something too to share when you got a minute.
Go right ahead, because I'm just about at the page.
All right. I think you got to do it. I can't do it.
Okay, give me 1 second. Let me this right here. Bear with me one moment.
Okay.
We're almost there, because I got it. I found it in the PDF form, so I'm going exactly to the page. Almost there. So I'll put you in first, and then
do what you got to do, bro.
Okay. So I'm gonna put you in right now. Go ahead.
Just real quick, because we're talking about the slave ships, right? You said commerce, nigga. Yeah. So we were brought here for commerce. Like, we were goods. We were brought here for free slavery. And guess,
hey, Shalom, Yahweh. Oh yeah. Now he put up there the book. Now the brother put in the chat. The book costs $4,990.03 on Amazon. This one that I'm about to go into, but go ahead, Bishop.
Yeah, because I wonder why. I wonder why that book is so much.
We're gonna see why. We're gonna see why after you finish your point.
Okay, Khan. So this is just a list, man. So this is a list of slave ships, just to show you how big this commerce was, because during that time, the whole labor of the world was free labor by Jake.
That's
You
right.
know,
The
was free
economy of
labor by
America
Jake.
was built up through it.
Con. So it says this is a list of slave ships. These were ships used to carry enslaved people, mainly, which was Jake, mainly Jake, but all the tribes really. These were ships to use to carry enslaved people, mainly in the Atlantic slave trade between the 16th and 19th century. And as you can see, here's a list of all these ships: Abbey, and most of these ships were owned by so-called Jews.
Yeah, because
Aggie,
they were the ones who set up the first corporation, which was I think the Dutch East India Company was set up
yep,
by some so-called Jews, and that was the first
which was
corporation ever set up right there.
yep, which was the Rothschild.
Mhm.
Yeah, the Dutch East India Company, right? So they owned they had the biggest what do you call it? Um slave ships, like in other words, they cornered the market, so to speak. And the Dutch East India Company, VAC, and if you go on the stock market, they're still up there. It said the slave trade, the VAC, or which is a new name for the Dutch East India Company. It says traded slaves from Africa, particularly Mozambique and Madagascar. And you spoke about Madagascar last week.
Yeah,
Transported them to their holdings in India, Indonesia, and St. Helena. You know, um, I just wanted to see that a picture of the slave ship.
but look, let me say something to the brothers in the chat because the thing with this, I can't post the link because I found it and then I downloaded it, and it took about 25 minutes for my computer to download it. So I downloaded it. Now the actual link where I got it from, I can't even find that link. I just happened to stumble upon it when I was searching, and then I downloaded the the PDF, and it took about 25 minutes to download. And now that link, I can't find that link. So it's not like a link
Okay.
that you could just click on and then just get the PDF to pop up just like that. It's not
Well, you
one
know
of
what?
those.
I'll after I do this, I'll see if I can find it. I could probably find it. Now, now look. So this is the Dutch East India Company, right? So there was a Dutch East India Company, then there's a Dutch West uh, India Company, which was both owned by the Rothschilds, and they started what they call the slave trade. Okay,
That's right.
and as you can see here, this is the warehouse in Amsterdam, where this is a warehouse. See, they're building the ships.
Hmm.
They're building the slave ships. Okay, these are receipts. They're building the slave ships now. Um, the Dutch East India Company. Now, before New York was called New York, it was called New Amsterdam.
Okay.
Okay, and it was called New Amsterdam. And New Amsterdam is what? It's a Dutch. That's a Dutch name, New Amsterdam. It was later changed to New York. You know, and it was a Dutch East India Company that was supporting them slaves from the west coast of Africa to New Amsterdam, now known as New York,
Hmm.
which is where what Wall Street started. Wall Street started with slaves. Okay,
That's right.
those they were the first stocks. You know, and also the transportation of slaves gave birth to a lot of different companies. Insurance,
Right.
insurance was invented during the time of slave trade because in case any of these small hats lost their slaves as they were transporting them, they
Due
would be
to
covered by
sickness
the
or
huh?
they got thrown in, they had to abandon them and dump them in the water
Right.
because
Yep. Yeah.
a lot
So a
of them
lot of
slavers wouldn't have enough supplies to feed all the slaves, so they might have to dump 50 or 100 people in the water because they couldn't feed
yep.
them.
And they had no problem dumping them because what, they were covered by their insurance. Every slave
Insurance,
had
that's right.
insurance on his head, so they were covered by the insurance. So they would just throw them slaves off the ships. You know. So this is this company is owned by the Rothschilds. So called Jews.
Right.
You see, and going back here, yeah, that was huge business. This is a list of slave ships, right?
Yep.
Some of these we know are famous, like Amistad, you know. But
Yep.
look at all these
The good ship
ships, man.
Jesus and all this other stuff. Yeah, look at that. Those are the records right there. See,
These are
those are
the
the
records.
records that is undisputable. These bastards, their longest green was made off of slavery.
Yep. And that's John 10 and 10.
That's right. The thief
The
cometh
thief
not
coming
but
out.
to steal and to kill.
That's
John
it.
10 and 10. So,
Yeah. So
now I just remembered Yahweh. Now I remember where I got the book. Where I got the download was from a site called Etsy. So in other words, I put the name of the book in the Google search and it popped up and showed archives, and it showed a site called Etsy. And what I did was I went to Etsy and I paid to get a PDF download of the book. I think I might have paid like 13 or 12 bucks. And it sent me the digital copy. And then I downloaded it. And then I got it in my archive on the computer. That's how I got this one. The Jews and Negroes let me go back to the title page for you up here. And so right here, the Jews, let me click on it so the brothers can see on the screen. The Negroes and the Jews, this PDF right here, that's how I got it. So put the name of this book right here, The Negroes and the Jews, in the search by Lenora E. Burson. And then it should pop up. It should probably show Etsy, and then go to Etsy. And he said he found it. So now I'm going to go here to page 212. And we're going to see why this book costs, like the brother put there in the thing, that on Amazon, the book costs $4,990.03. So let's go to it, because you went through that breakdown of them slave ships, right? So now, who was on them slave ships? Right here. It says the Negroes and the Jews, page 212. I blew it up a little bit. You can see a little better with me blowing it up. Bishop?
yeah, Khan.
All right. It says the Negroes' claim to be Jewish is legitimate. The land of Israel is located in Western Asia and borders North Africa. All of the native inhabitants of that region were non-white. When Spain expelled its Jews in 1492, many of them went to Africa. It seems probable that some of them were brought later to America as slaves. And ain't that what we're talking about? It says the spirituals never sing of African rivers. It's always the Jordan or the Red Sea. They don't sing about African chiefs or kings. It's David or Moses and some other Jewish characters from the Bible. So you wonder why the book costs $4,990? There's your
Look at
answer
that.
right there.
Yep,
Hell,
straight like that.
I'll read it again. I'll just read it again. Negroes' claims to be Jewish is legitimate. The land of Israel is located in Western Asia and borders on North Africa. All of the native inhabitants of that region were non-white, which is obvious. When Spain expelled its Jews in 1492, that's when the Moors had lost the city of Granada, because you had the Moors that was there in Spain, but then there were Jews there too, which were the same people. The Jews and the Moors were the same people. They were both Israelites. Okay, the Moors were the Jews that were in Alexandria, Egypt. That when the Islamic invasion came into North Africa by way of Egypt, they converted to Islam. They went through the Straits of Gibraltar up into Portugal and Spain and took over, right? But then you had actual Jews that were in Spain that were living there, keeping the commandments, blase this and that. So the Jews and the Moors, they were both Israelites. Both of them, they were Israelites. Now it says many of them went to Africa. It seems probable that some of them were brought later to America as slaves. The spirituals never sing of African rivers because they never sing them. They always sing about the Jordan River. It's always the Jordan or the Red Sea. They don't sing about African chiefs or kings. It's David or Moses or some other Jewish characters in the Bible. Period. Right? So that's just one reference right there from the book. From the book here, the Jews and the Negroes by Lauren Burnson. Right now, I got another piece of information that I want to read here. This is from a book called because we're getting to it, because it said that many of them went into slavery and went to Africa. Right now, it says here, this book is called. Let me get the title down. It's called America Being the Latest and Most Accurate Description of the New World, containing the original of the inhabitants and the remarkable voyages thither, the conquests of the vast empires of Mexico and Peru, and other large provinces and territories, with the several European plantations in those parts. Also their cities, fortresses, towns, temples, mountains, and rivers. Blase, written by John Ogilby, 1600 to 1676, right? Right here, it tells you here. Published date 1671. London, printed by the author. Smithsonian Biodiversity. Smithsonian Library. So I got this online from the Smithsonian Library. And if you see down here, you see where it says PDF right here, where I'm highlighting. If you pull this up on the Internet Archive and you get this, pull this book up there. Let me see if I could put this link right here in the chat. And,
You got to pay for this one?
nah, this one I got free online. So I put that link in there right here. That link that just went up in there, you can go there and then, scroll through and, this is on page 574, by the way, what we're reading. So when you pull up the archive, stretch the thing over to page 574. That's where I'm going. So now let me go here to the information. Now it says here, let me just straighten this out. Page C, now I'm gonna show you. Here, see page 574, chapter 7. See, it says America right here, right? So I'm gonna scroll down to the point that I want to get to, which is here.
This one you got to make it a little bigger if you can.
Yeah, I'm gonna try right now. What about now? Can you see it?
Yeah, that's better. That's better.
Better? Okay, let me just move this over a little bit. Better for you to see, right? You got it. You clear with it, right? Or you need me to try to blow it up a little more? Yeah,
that's it. Right there is good. Right there is good.
Okay, it says here. Remember, this is written in the different type of English, but it says the Portuguese that dwelt on this island. It's talking about the island of St. Thomas. It was called St. Tomé. But the Portuguese. Now, didn't we read that it said when the Jews was expelled in 1492 in the other book, right? Now, check this out. The Portuguese that dwelt on this island informed the Netherlanders that few lived above 50 years there because the conditions on the island weren't ideal for them. So they wouldn't live past 50 years old because the Portuguese had St. Thomas was there. That was an island that they had. How would you say? They discovered it, and they set it up as a colony there. There, the Canary Islands, the Cape Verdean Islands, and I believe Angola and another area in Africa. I'm not sure if it's Guinea or another place, but the Portuguese had colonies there. They had a colony set up in Angola, which is on the west coast. They had the island of St. Thomas. They had the Cape Verdean Islands, right? And there was another area in Africa that the Portuguese had planted their flag because really they were the first ones to really that's kicked off the slave trade was the Portuguese. I'm gonna read that somewhere else, but I want to read this right now. The Portuguese that dwelt on this island informed the Netherlanders that few lived above 50 years there. Yet, notwithstanding, the great gain tempted them to tarry, several of them having 200 or 300 Negroes that worked in the sugar mills that John, the King of Portugal, sent a colony thither above 200 years before, whom, though the air destroyed, yet the place was not left desolate. For he sent new inhabitants who first settled in Guinea. So it's the area of Guinea, which I believe is in Africa. Guinea and Angola. Here it goes. Settled in Guinea, next in Angola, and Italy on the island of St. Thomas. See, the island of St. Thomas. So Guinea, Angola, and St. Thomas, the Portuguese had settlements there. It says that they might be the better use to the air, because the Jakes, our bodies were better to deal with that climate over there. So those Jakes were sent there to work in the sugar mills and all that there, because their bodies were able to deal with the climate, right? It says, so that they might be better used to the air. That said, King told all of the Jews for slaves. See that? So it wasn't them so-called Jews. That bullshit that they try to tell you, that with the Spanish Inquisition and the people that was kicked out of Spain, right? Those were the actual Jews that was kicked out of Spain. That's why they had a term for them called the Marranos. The so-called Jew tried to house that history and pull it onto themselves. That's straight fucking bullshit. It was straight up dark-skinned Jakes that was there in Portugal and Spain, and that was expelled out of there during the Inquisition, and their properties were taken from them, their money was taken from them, and they were put into slavery and sent to those. They were sent to Angola, Guinea, and they were sent to St. Thomas. I'm going to read on. This ain't the only reference of it. It says, for slaves that refused to embrace the Roman religion and caused their children to be baptized, from whom coming thither in great numbers, most of the present inhabitants were deceased, right? So the Jakes that were sent there, they refused the Roman religion. They didn't want to have their kids baptized in that bullshit of the Roman religion, right? So then they were sent there and they were exiled. Now, there's another thing that I want to read here. There's another bit of information. I don't know if you want to say anything, Bishop Ayathon, or if any brothers in the comments got a question that they want to ask. But
Yeah.
no, go ahead, brother.
No, I'm just no, you got it, bro. I'm looking for some information online.
Right. So
Back you up.
So that's dealing with that right there. Now, again, the scripture says this. I'm gonna read Deuteronomy 28:68 again. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. Now, I'm gonna read another scripture, the book of Job, and then I'm gonna go back and read some more information. Job 8 and 8. Because the scripture says this. Well, let me see. Job 8 and 8. For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to the search of thy fathers. For we are but of yesterday, and knowing nothing, because our days upon the earth are a shadow. So that's what we're doing. We're doing what? The search of our fathers. That's what we're doing. Now, I'm going to go back here. Now, I read that document right there. Now, I'm going to go to, just to show you, because that document said the Portuguese sent Negroes to where? To Guinea and Angola. Now check this out. This is a map.
Yeah. Do you know around what century that was?
This was this had to be in let me go back over here to this here. Let me go back over here to this here. No, this was around the time of the Spanish Inquisition, which was in you talking the Spanish Inquisition when they finally got the city of Granada, 1492. Within that time, and even a little bit before that, the Spanish Inquisition was going on.
So that would be what, 13th?
It was going on in that 14th, time
period. 13th, 14th century?
It was going on. That would be the 15th century. It was going on.
Okay, so all right, so because you spoke about the Moors, you spoke about Portugal, and how those were Jakes there, right?
Yep.
Now, remember that tapestry, the Moors and the wild men?
Right, and the wild men, exactly. Yep, you went right to it.
That was around that time period, right?
There you go.
And you can see in them castles ruling is what you can see the dark skin. Those were Jakes, and they're being attacked by Edomites.
Being attacked by Edomites.
By Edomites. So that just to show you that what we're the bishop's bringing out, it was Jakes that were in rulership during that time, and the Jews, these are are dark skinned. These are the real Jews here, And there's always been contention between the Jews, which are in the Bible known as Jacob, and the wild men or the Edomites, today known as so-called white people, who now call themselves Jews, which they're not. Those are the Edomites. and there's been contention going back, really Cain and Abel, if you want to get technical. But yeah, so wherever there's always been contention, and it was always uh, kicking us uh, out of the lands, right? Going back to John 10:10 again, the thief coming out, but to steal, to kill, right? So just to add more confluence of what you were saying about the Moors and the original inhabitants of the land being dark, and Esau came through, kicked them out, and say that that history was theirs. You know.
No, damn sure ain't. Now, I got another document that I want to touch on. This one is called. It's from a book called. What is it? It's called. It's called Africa, being an accurate description of the regions of Egypt, Barbary, Libya. Right. So here on page 34.
Okay, you got to go back to your screen.
Yeah, I'm going back to my screen. Let me put my screen up. Here we go. So it says, again, this is from a book called Africa, being an accurate description of the regions of Egypt, Barbary, and Libya. Now, this one right here, I got this actually as a PDF. And this book costs a lot too. Now, here on page 34, it says this. You want me to blow it up some more? You want me to blow it up more? Could you read it? Can you see it?
Yeah, it's better if you blow it up a little bit. Yeah, right there is good. Con.
Yeah,
it's good right there.
Right
Yeah.
there. All right. Very good. So brothers can see it. It says, many Jews also are scattered over this region, some natives boasting themselves of Abraham's seed, inhabiting both sides of the river Niger. Others are Asian strangers who fled thither, either from the desolation of Jerusalem. Now, who fled from the desolation of Jerusalem into Africa? Fled from the desolation. No, go ahead, Ayathan. Go ahead.
No, say that's Luke. Was it the 21, 21st chapter?
If you want to grab that,
Con, yeah.
might as well hit it. Hit the scripture, and I'll put you up on screen if you want. I'll just leave it there. You can just read it. Right, I'm gonna read it again while you get in the scripture. Many Jews also scattered over this region, some natives boasting themselves of Abraham's seed, inhabiting both sides of the river Niger. Others are Asian strangers who fled thither, either from the desolation of Jerusalem by Vespasian or from Judea, wasted and depopulated by the Romans, Persians,
I got it.
Saracens, and Christians. Go ahead.
Okay, so we'll go straight to the point. Now this is Luke 21, and the account that the bishop is reading is right here in the 20th verse. I'll start at 19. It says, "In your patience possess ye your souls." Luke 21:19. Verse 20, it says, "And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh." Verse 21, "Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled." Then if you read down, it says, verse 23, "But woe unto them that are with child." Right? And they call that the Roman Jewish wars,
Yep.
which I believe there were three of them.
Yep.
"But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled."
Right. So
Right?
that's what happened to us. But this book is telling you that in this region in Africa, that many Jews fled into Africa. Right? We fled from what? 70 AD, right?
Yep.
70 AD, right? It says, and or from Judah, wasted and depopulated by the Romans, Persians, Saracens, and Christians, or such as came out of Europe, right? Because we're reading about how we were expelled out of Europe too. Now watch what it's going to say about Europe. Or such as came out of Europe, whence they were banished out of some parts of Italy in the year 1342, out of Spain in the year 1462. So it started then. See, 1492 is when they finally got the city of Granada, but the expulsion of the Jews been going on before that. Out of the Lower Countries in 1350 AD, out of France in 1403, out of England in 1422. They're all different inhabitants, and are divided into several tribes having no dominion, though both wealthy and numerous, but despised of all nations, and abominated by the Turks. Now, wait, don't the scriptures say that we're despised of all nations? Right? We're despised of all.
Con.
And they're saying here in this document, right? It says, but despised of all nations and abominated by the Turks, and that they are not admitted to be Mohammedans unless first baptized. So we couldn't even call ourselves Muslims unless we had to be baptized by that Islamic shit. See, the Turks. And who were the Turks? The Turks were Edomites that converted to the religion of Islam. That's who the Turks was, the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Turks were Edomites that converted to the religion of Islam during the Middle Ages. That's who the Turks were. And those are the same people that the now self-styled Jews come out of that same stock of people. The Ottoman Empire. Them same group of people which go back to the Khazars. The Ottoman Empire became the Ottoman Empire when Islam went up in there. The Khazars were broken up. Part became the Ottoman Empire. The other part became what is known as modern Jewry to this day. It says that they are not admitted to be Mohammedans unless first baptized, and then no otherwise made use of than to receive their customs and gather in their taxes. So you were going to get taxed. So if you wanted to call yourself a Mohammedan, right, then you had to be subjugated to a certain type of tax now by them damn Arabs, right? So now there's more. Now, notice it said here that the ones that were expelled are by Vespasian out of Jerusalem, and when Judea was burned down by the Romans, right? So now the next thing is good old Babylon to Timbuktu with Rudolph R. Windsor. I'm gonna go to page 84. But there's a lot of meat. There's a lot of meat in here in this book, Babylon to Timbuktu. But I'm gonna go to the obvious, and then we're gonna cover some more ground. Page 84. Right. So Babylon to Timbuktu by Rudolph R. Windsor. It says, in the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter during the period of the military governors of Palestine. Many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa. Fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery, the slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. Did not we read in that document about Africa and its description being an accurate description of the regions of Egypt and Barbary, how the Jews fled into Africa from the Romans? Didn't it say that in there? Let me go back here.
Yeah,
Let me say that here. Many Jews also are scattered over this region from natives boasting themselves of Abraham's seed, because they are of Abraham's seed. That's why. Inhabiting both sides of the river Niger, others are Asian strangers who fled thither either from the desolation of Jerusalem by Vespasian or from Judea, wasted and depopulated by the Romans. Right?
Yep. You just confirmed that in the other book. You cross. That's called
Right.
cross-referencing.
Cross-referencing.
And then,
Right?
yep. And
So
then you
what?
cross-reference
Go
it
ahead,
with the
brother.
scriptures. We just read it in Luke 21. We
Yep.
cross-referenced it with the scriptures, and this is how you pick out the bones. You know, because a lot of these books they do have bones in them, but
Yep.
you pick out the bones by it has to be in alignment with what the scriptures say. Now, real quick, Bishop, I got just something real quick just to add more to the 70 AD,
Let me plug
right?
you in over
And
here. I see on your page, right there.
yeah.
That's it.
So this is just a quick search I did on Google for the Jews in 70 AD, and this is an AI. It says, yes, many Jews fled to Africa after the Romans destroyed the second temple in Jerusalem in 70 AD. Okay. And they fled there, you know, because Bishop, you correct me if I'm wrong, there was already small, I guess you could say like colonies of Jakes there already, you know, like
Of
because
course.
Jake was everywhere for like merchant, for trades. So there was
Right.
small communities. So they have relatives there already, you know, so to
They
speak.
already did. All
They already
throughout
did.
North Africa. The
Yeah.
Alexandrian Jews. The
Yep.
Alexandrian Jews was there and established in this. There was no Islam back then either. So the
No.
Alexandrian Jews was there. Had a flag, a firm flag, planted in Egypt and Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco, Libya, all them areas in the northern part of Africa. Jake was all up over there, as well as other
Yep.
parts too. Jake was
Yep.
already there.
Exactly. Yep.
So that was the
Jake
most quick. That was the quickest place to flee to.
Con. Yeah. That was the quickest place to flee to. Yeah, exactly. And you didn't need a ship or boat or anything like that.
Right on
So
foot.
it says right on foot. Yep. So many Jews fled to Africa after the Romans destroyed the second temple in Jerusalem AD. Right. It tells about the Spanish Jews here. And then over here, because that's what we're reading about now, you just read about the Niger River, right? It
Right.
says in the 18th century, travel and missionary accounts describe Jews or their descendants living along the western coast of Africa.
Wait a
Scottish
minute.
explorer Mungo. Yep, go ahead.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Oh,
Western coast of
Scottish
Africa, right?
explorer Mungo Park encountered Arab-speaking Jews on the left bank of the river Niger. Now, it says Arab-speaking Jews. Now, there were Jakes that spoke that Ishmael
Moors.
language,
The
right?
Moors.
The Moors, right? The
They were
Moors.
Spain. Yep.
Exactly. And you know what? It goes right with this lesson as well, because a lot of the Moors, they were forced into that Muslim philosophy, a lot of them, because remember that slave trade was between them so-called Jews, Ishmael, which are the Arabs, right? Together. The scriptures speak about the
Well,
Grecians,
now
right?
check this out. Now, it was Ishmael, Ham, and Esau.
Yep.
But guess what? Jake was a part of that too.
Some Jake, yeah, Jake was because you know,
even the Moors during that time when Jakes was being put in slavery, the Moors was a part of that too. And the Jakes that was in West Africa, whether they were in Songhay, Ashanti, definitely the Dahomean kingdom. Dahomey that was Jake. The kingdom of Dahomey, they had a
Yeah.
coronation of Judah in Dahomey. They was a part of it too. But you see, the Most High tore their asses up, because even though they was a part of it and they was participating with it, eventually they got swallowed up by the French. The kingdom of Dahomey, which became the Republic of Benin. Now, those were niggas those are actual Jakes that was profiting off of slavery. But
yeah, which you know,
up.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, Jake would give each other up, man. Even Joseph,
Mhm.
right?
Joseph,
He was
Joseph brothers sell him to the Arabs. Then the Arabs sold him
Yep.
to the Egyptians, and he made a way for his brethren to escape the famine that was coming.
I mean, so you know, all that happens just to push the Most High's plan. So yeah, he did use Jake's as part of that, you know. But the thing that made it move was the Arabs, or Ishmael, Esau, and Ham. You know,
Yep.
and Jake got caught up in there as well. You know, but there were so Jake. By that time, there's a lot of Jakes that was already in that Muslim bullshit. You know, And when Jake fled over there to West Africa from the Roman Jewish wars, a lot of them were sold to them Arabs for Ishmaelites as slaves, to look after their harems and to do,
Yep.
tasks for them. And they were forced into that Muslim philosophy as well, to worshiping Allah and worshiping a rock. So that goes back to this lesson, which, the main point of this lesson is how Jake was brutally forced into Christianity and these other philosophies was mainly through slavery,
Yep.
which was all planned of the Most High. But if you read down, because now you're reading the book of Timbuktu, from Babylon to Timbuktu,
Yep.
it says there is well-attested Jewish community in Timbuktu, and its probable descendants are now Muslims who still claim Jewish origins, right?
Yeah.
Those would be what? Jake's,
Those are Jake's.
And right here
Now
on the
look at that.
right-hand side is a bunch
Now
of
look,
books.
the AI is telling me that.
That's the AI, And look at these books on the right with the history in them. History of the Jews in Africa, the Jews of Africa and Asia. Israel deliberately forgets its history. That might be a real good one. Got to read that one. So it's documented, man. But you know what the scriptures say? My
Yeah,
people are
write down
destroyed
some
for
of them
lack of
names
knowledge.
of them joints on the side, like later on, when we're over with, and we're gonna have to go search those out.
Yeah.
At one point in time, so don't totally once the lesson's over, don't X out of it. Just write them titles down so you can go search them out later.
Yep.
But
yeah, back to you, Bishop.
So now I'm gonna go back here to Babylon and Timbuktu, right? So it says in the year 65 BC, Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery. The slave markets were full of Black Jewish slaves, right? So everything we're reading here is we've been reading about the expulsion of the Jews from Spain, going into Angola and Guinea, which is on the west coast of Africa, which were colonized by the Portuguese. Angola, Guinea. As a matter of fact, I got a map here. I got an old map here from this book called The Lost Tribes: A Myth, Suggestions towards Rewriting Hebrew History. Now this map right here on the screen, you see over here, what you see here, this map, you see here where my cursor is at, it's a place called Benai Ephraim, here in West Africa by Dahomey. You see the kingdom of Dahomey? It says Deborah, Dahomey Jews, Jewish traces. I go up over here. You got Lam, once a Jewish colony, Timbuktu. When you talking about Timbuktu, Ayathan, now you see Timbuktu, what it says here, Jewish colony. Judea,
Oh, damn.
Judea paganism over here in Senegambia. Medieval Jewish kingdom, Kamnuri, over here. Jewish kingdom of Ganata. See note at the end of this map. Now let me go over here to let me kind of pull this up. And this book was printed back in I think it was it was 18 something, Slovakia. But let me go back to the map. Where the hell did my map?
Hey, if I could say this, Bishop Taz, while you looking that up. So this 70 AD, was mainly Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, because by this time the kingdom of Israel, which were like what you call the Spanish-speaking tribes today, by that time there was already scattered by that time. But the Judah, Benjamin, and Levi were predominantly the only tribes left in Jerusalem during that in the area of Jerusalem and the surrounding areas.
Yep.
So that what they call the expulsion, which already happened to the kingdom of Israel. This was for the kingdom of Judah now, And so these were the main tribes that were affected, by the so-called slave trade, where the ships went to West Africa to pick up the slaves. Now that was because, remember, the scriptures say that the kingdom of Judah and Israel, they both suffered
Yep.
together. So first it was the kingdom of Israel that was scattered, and then it was the kingdom of Judah, and that's what the reason for the 70 AD wars was for.
Yep. Now check this out. Now we read in those other books about the Portuguese having Saint Thomas, right? Now look over here on this map. Here it says Saint Thomas Jews from the west coast of Africa, right here to the island of Saint Thomas, because they were sent from Portugal to Angola. Then from Angola, they went to Saint Thomas on ships. See, you got another group of Jews here, all here, right along the west coast. You see Saint Thomas is right here. Saint Thomas Jews, Saint Thomas Jews. Now I'm gonna
Can you zoom in on that?
I'm gonna try. What about now?
Yeah, there we go.
I gotta lift this up a little bit. You see it better now?
Yeah, much better.
There you go. You can see it better now. There you go. See? St. Thomas, the Jews. So the beaches of St. Thomas, the people that was there working in the sugarcane and all that were the actual Jews that was expelled out of Spain that went to Angola and Guinea in Africa, and then went to St. Thomas. And of course, they were brought to St. Thomas, the Canary Islands, the Cape Verdean Islands, which was controlled by the Portuguese. So those of you that's in the Cape Verdean Islands, you ain't nothing but Negroes from West Africa that actually go back to Jerusalem. That's who you are. You ain't Portuguese. You ain't white people. That's not your history. Though a lot of them think that they something different. How the hell you something different? But so now I'm gonna go back and read up in Babylon to Timbuktu, because Babylon to Timbuktu is gonna give a lot of information. So now I'm gonna go to that was page 84. So now I'm gonna go to page 124. It's gonna bring it all together, because most of the references that Rudolph R. Windsor used are these old books that I went into. Those are a lot of the reference material that he used to write this book. So let me I think it's page 124 is the one that I want to start at. Okay. Right. So I guess I'll start at page 124. And right here it says the Black Jews came to Africa not only by land but also by sea. As you recall, in the year 1484, King John of Portugal deported great numbers of Black Jews to the African island of St. Thomas. Now, wait a minute. Whoa. Let's go back to the PDF here. So here we go. St. Thomas Jews, right? Right there. They were deported to St. Thomas, right? So now let me go right back here to Babylon and Timbuktu. We got the map, so ain't nothing the motherfucker got to say.
Receipts.
It says, as you recall, in the year 1484, King John of Portugal deported great numbers of Black Jews to the African island of St. Thomas, because St. Thomas, again, was a colony of the Portuguese. And the Portuguese also had Angola and Guinea, which is in West Africa. St. Thomas, the Canary Islands, Cape Verde, whatever other places they had too. Oh, Brazil. Brazil was a port where the Portuguese sent a lot of the slaves to. They speak Portuguese in Brazil, don't they? It says the island of St. Thomas, St. Thome, near Nigeria and the Cameroon, was discovered by the Portuguese in 1471. Now, wait a minute. Let's go back to the map. By Nigeria and Cameroon. Now, what you see here, Nigeria, right? You got Ashanti, Dahomey, and Cameroon. Wait a minute. Cameroon's right here, right? Cameroon and St. Thomas is right here. So what we reading is accurate then, right? You see it says Cameroon and St. Thomas, which is right here. Look at that. So I'm going to go back to Babylon and Timbuktu. It says the island of St. Thomas near Nigeria and Cameroon, we just showed that on the map, was discovered by the Portuguese in 1471, and it was established as a penal colony. To this island, Jews were sent who would not accept baptism. In other words, who wouldn't accept that Christianity shit. So we were sent there because we wouldn't be baptized under that Christianity bullshit. It is obvious that the Jews were deported to Saint Tomé not only to mete out punishments to them, but King John's ulterior motive was to establish a commercial base with sophisticated Black Jews in his growing empire in Africa. As time elapsed, the Black Jews in Portugal and the Black Jews in the Portuguese colonial possessions became known as Black Portuguese. They were called Black Portuguese because they were born in Portugal and they knew the history, culture, and language of Portugal. As it has been mentioned before, King John of Portugal furnished ships in order to deport the Jews to any country they desired. However, unscrupulous Portuguese captains exacted as much money as they could from the Jews and dumped their human cargo at various places along the West African coast. As a result,
Wow.
You got anything to say, brother? Oh, it's more.
No, I just said wow because it's all right there.
Matter of fact, you could get that scripture in Joel. You know the one in Joel I'm talking about. I think it's Joel the 2nd or 3rd chapter. And we can get Deuteronomy 28. We're gonna hit that again, 28 and 68. I mean, hey man, it's right there, bro. Go ahead, brother. You got something to say?
Hey, well, Revelation was it 1 and 3? Blessed is he that readeth.
Mhm.
You know, going back to what we was talking about earlier. But you know, this whole thing is kind of like going back to the lesson is our people they went into these different philosophies, right? And the scriptures do say my people destroy for the lack of knowledge, and because they have rejected the Most High, He rejected them.
Yep.
And so the Most High kind of, this knowledge is out there, but there's a term that Esau uses is called hidden in plain sight.
Yep.
Right. So the knowledge is out there, but Esau's not going to point you to it, you know,
Nope.
to wake you up. So this,
Job, you're forges of lies.
Your forges of lies, yeah. So they have these books and they make them super expensive. They know Jake cannot afford them, right? They don't speak about it in your school, you know, and they pay off these preachers
The teachers
and
and the
these,
curriculum in order to make sure that it's not taught.
yep, to make sure it's not taught, but the information is out there. But the Spirit of the Most High has to guide you, and the scriptures also say, "How can they hear without a preacher?" You know,
Right.
so.
So it says, it says, as it was, kind of lost my place. Now here it goes. As has been mentioned before, King John of Portugal furnished ships in order to deport the Jews to any country they desired. However, unscrupulous Portuguese captains dumped their human cargo at various places along the West African coast, right? The West African coast, which let me go to the map again of the West African coast. Here we go. West African coast, all over here. Look at this. Because it mentioned Cameroon, it mentioned St. Thomas, Cameroon, Nigeria. Nigeria is right here. So those areas, everything that Windsor is speaking about, this map is showing everything. We go back to here. It says Portuguese captains exacted as much money as they could from the Jews. So those Jews that were deported, they robbed them too. They were robbed and dumped their human cargo at various places along the West Coast. As a result, Alan Godby writes that Winwood Reade met blacks in Guinea, which is in West Africa, who called themselves Portuguese and claimed descent from Portugal. Reade wrote his book in 1864. In another case, Daniel P. Mannix writes as that Captain Cutler, a slave trader from Boston, was barbarously murdered with 2 of his sailors by a community of Black Portuguese established near the mouth of Sierra Leone River. The Portuguese were the first Europeans to trade on the West African coast and to establish colonies on a large scale. The Canary Islands were discovered by the Portuguese, right? I mentioned the Canary Islands, right? Were discovered by the Portuguese in 1341, ceded to Spain by papal bull in 1344. Senegal was discovered by the Portuguese in the 15th century, and the first settlements are believed to have been Black Portuguese. The Gambia River mouth was discovered by the Portuguese in the 15th century. Sierra Leone, first visited by the Portuguese in 1462. All these areas is where? On the west coast, Sierra Leone. Gambia, they mentioned Gambia, right? Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone is right there. The Cameroons, Gabon, all these different areas here on the west coast. The Rio de Oro over here. All these areas he's mentioning is here on the west coast that the Portuguese visited and set up colonies here. Let me go back to it. Right? It says Guinea discovered by Portuguese in 1446. The island of Saint Thomé, which became known as Saint Thomas later, discovered by the Portuguese in 1471. The new inhabitants were Black Jews deported here in 1484. Black Jews migrated to the Angola coast from Saint Thomé between 1484 and 1499. The white Portuguese missionaries reached Angola in 1560, but white settlers did not establish a community until 1575. Let us return now to the Jews of St. Thomas, St. Thomé Island, which is St. Thomas. Scholars are uncertain concerning the exact number of Jews deported to this island. It is certain that the number lies in the thousands and perhaps the tens of thousands. Continuous research is needed in African Hebrew history, especially in the excavation of ruined Hebrew cities of Africa. When this gigantic work is completed, I believe the evidence will reveal information that will amaze humanity. It is in my sincere belief that a greater number of Black Jews were deported to the western coast of Africa than is admitted by some writers. By the edict of King Manuel of Portugal in 1496, banishing the Jews from Portugal, all Jews were to be out of Portugal by October 1497. However, considering this matter, he decided to Christianize the Jews. Fearing the loss of a valuable population, he wanted the continued use of their knowledge and services. He concluded that the only way the Jew could be tolerated in his country was to force them into the Christian faith. In March 1497, a command was proclaimed throughout Portugal for all Hebrew children between 4 and 14 years of age to be brought for baptism. All parents who did not bring their children voluntarily had their children taken away violently by the officials and forced into baptism, Cecil Roth writes. Now, wait a minute. The children from 4 to 14 years old had to be baptized into Christianity, and if they weren't, they were taken from their parents. What does that? Don't that sound like BCW? Connecticut is called DCF, where they'll come and take your kids if you don't comply with the mandates of the state. They'll come and take your kids out your house. Well, they was doing that back there in Spain because these Jews did not want to convert to that Christianity bullshit. And then they were deporting them and sending them to Angola and Guinea. And from there, then they went to St. Thomas, Canary Islands, Cape Verdean Islands. You know how the rest went after that. And they were forcing them. Now, not only were they forcing them, they started murdering and killing them. So Jake's conversion to Christianity was forced through murder. That's what it's going to go into. I don't know if you got anything to say or you got some scriptures, brother.
Yeah. So I got Jeremiah here. Jeremiah 2:13.
Yeah, I pulled you up right here. If that's you.
Okay.
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
you on the
hold on, let me get it. All right, Con Jeremiah 2:13. Let me see what's this here. I want to keep that.
So we're going through the history showing you that it's beyond a shadow of a doubt. The people that came over here in the slave trade from West Africa is beyond doubt and beyond reason who they are. So these apologists with this apologist bullshit that they're out there with, man, they can shove that up there behind, man. Vocab
Con.
Malone and the dumb monkey-minded ass niggas that follow him, they can all go to hell.
Yep. Now you said that history you was reading, it said that they forced the children into
Right.
Christianity at a young age, or else they would take
From
the
4 to
children
14
away
years
from.
old in Spain and Portugal during the Spanish Inquisition.
Yep. Now that happened because of the Most High. Because look, as we read earlier, we was reading the curses in Deuteronomy, where the Most High said, "Look, these things were going to happen to us if we did not follow His law, statutes, and commandments." Right.
That's right.
So look at verse 12. Because look, at one time the Most High had a hedge around us, a protection. But
Yep.
because we turn our backs against the Most High, He turned that protection. He took it away from us because Israel was worshiping other gods. So
That's
the
right.
Most High was like, if you want to worship these other gods, let them protect you. Okay. So verse 12. Let's start at 11. It says, "Have the nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods? But my people have changed their glory for that which doth not profit." Right. So that glory, uh, it says, "My people have changed their glory for that which does not profit." Now, what was our glory? Our glory is what? Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, our power. So our people changed that for the idols, right? They started worshiping the Egyptian idols. And then every captivity we went to, Jake worshiped the gods of the nation that took us to captivity. And Jake
Yep.
never thought to say, you know, we're in this captivity because we not serving the Most High. Let's go back and serve the Most High. They just adopted the gods of the nation that was ruling over them.
They went along to get along.
They went along to get along, right? So verse 12, it says, "Be astonished, O ye heavens, at this, and be horribly afraid. Be ye very desolate, saith the Lord." Right? Because it's an astonishment that our people would do away with the Most High, who took us out of Egypt, right? In a how should I say it? It was like a show-stopping manner, right?
Right.
Came with the chariots, the plagues, swallowed up the Egyptians in the waters. I mean, and then in the miracles in the wilderness, you know, and after all that, Israel still turned to idols. So the Lord said, "Be astonished, O ye heavens, at this, and be horribly afraid. Be ye very desolate, saith the Lord." Okay. Because why? "For my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and hewed them out cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water." And those broken cisterns are what? The water represents wisdom. So the broken cisterns are these other philosophies and these idols that our people turn to. And they did this willingly. Matter of fact, in in um in the wilderness, they were complaining to Moses. They said, "Look, we should have just stayed in Egypt
You
where
brought
we
us out
had
here
it
to
good.
die. Yep.
You brought us out here to die." And their fucking minds, they thought they had it good in in Egypt, right? They were like, "Oh, we had it good in Egypt," And that's the same way our people feel about here in America. We talk about leaving America. They want to stay. They think they living it up in America.
Yep.
So our people are so far gone that they don't even see that during in oppression and slavery. You know. So it says that hewed them out cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water. So you fast forward to today, our people would rather, so-called serve the so-called American dream, which is all a lie. There is no American dream. So verse 14 says, "Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled?"
And the answer is yes.
Or-
You're a homeborn
Yep.
servant, and you're a damn slave.
Yep.
Only a
It says,
slave wants to be equal with his master. Only a
Con.
slave wants to be equal with the people that have brutalized them and tortured them and terrorized them and burned them and hung them and raped his great 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 grandmothers, grandfathers, great 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 uncles, aunts, nieces, nephews. Only a goddamn slave would want to still be attached to these damn people because he got Stockholm syndrome. Only a goddamn slave would want to do that. So is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Yeah. That's why you
Yep.
got the apologist Negroes wearing beards, because see, we force them to have to read the scriptures and to have to go and deal with the history and deal with the point at hand, and they still can't get it. You know what I'm saying? Because they're a bunch of dummies. Like that video, they were going against those brothers, like there were no Greek Israelites. You know what? You dudes are out of your effing mind. We know that you're gone because they don't know shit about the history. Nobody.
Yeah, Con, they don't know.
You don't know your ass from a hole in the ground. So what? You know what? John 3:16. John 3:16 is talking about the Israelites. That don't include everybody. The Bible is not universal. The philosophy of Catholicism means universal. The Bible is not universal. Uni means from the word uno, meaning one, and vert means to turn into one. The Bible is not about turning everybody. Not about everybody. Not everybody is a part of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. That is a Israelite thing. That's a lineage.
It's right. It's right here on the screen.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
Amos 3:2.
There you go.
Sorry. Yeah, Amos 3:2. It says, "You, the Most High is talking to Israel. You only have I known of all the families of the earth." So, of all of the nations, Israel is the only one that the Most High recognizes. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities. That's why we suffer the most tragic, the real Holocaust. Yeah, the real Holocaust was to our people. That's why the Most High punished us in that way, because the Most High only established his covenant with the nation of Israel.
Yep.
So this is all the history basically we've been bringing out about the slave trade, Christianity's different philosophies being forced upon Jake, brutally forced upon Jake, is because the Most High is punishing us for our iniquity. That's part of our punishment.
Yep. And then on top of that, what is this in Jeremiah? What is it? Jeremiah 5. The Lord shall cause us to discontinue from the heritage that he gave us. You know what I'm saying? We discontinue from the heritage that the Lord gave us. Hey, it was beaten out of us. If any brothers caught the lesson Tuesday with Sakaran and Apostle Gabar mentioned that on the video. They beat the Hebrew Israelite out of us. It was beaten out of us. The scripture said, "The Lord I will cause thee to discontinue from the heritage that I gave you." So this Christianity garbage that Jake is dealing with, it was forced on us. And I'm gonna read into some more of it here, and it's gonna get more brutal about it. With Amos, you finished with Amos, or you got some more?
I'll read verse 15. It says, "The young lions roared upon him and yelled, and they made his land waste. His cities are burned without inhabitants." So this is why the Most High gave, and really talking about Esau, but he gave him the power to subdue us, take our land, right? Because we were going all into the history about Portugal. Okay. Yeah, so the bishop was going into the different history in the books about the different lands that we ruled in, that we had establishments, we had colonies in the west coast of Africa, over there in Portugal, different areas of Spain, different areas of Europe. And Esau went in there. I don't have the picture up anymore, but Esau went to those territories and overthrew Jake. So that's what it's talking about, the young lions. They overthrew Jake and they made our land waste. And they took over our cities. They burned them down. All right. And now it got to the point where they're saying that they are us. So that's it. The young lions roared upon him and yelled, and they made his land waste. Perfect example of that is what is the land of Israel itself. So now you got the so-called Jews over there. Matter of fact, I think it was about 2 years ago, they made a declaration that all the dark-skinned Jews living in the land of Israel, they had to get out. And a lot of them dark-skinned Jews were part of the Israeli army. Their children, their sons were in the army. So-called dedicated their lives to the Israeli army, and they still made them leave. And they couldn't fight back. They have no power to fight back. So these are the young lions the Most High is talking about. The young lions roared upon him and yelled, and they made his land waste. His cities are burned without inhabitant. But the whole reason that happened, okay, is going back to this verse right here. For my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. And right now, you even have people that know that they are Israelites that know they're Israelites that are telling you to forsake the name of the Most High and
Yep.
His Son. So they have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, right?
And they're pushing that name, that Jesus Christ bullshit. That ain't the name of the Son of the Most High. His name is Yahweh Shai, and the name of the Most High is not. If you're gonna call on the name Jesus, you might as well call on the name Jehovah too, because Jehovah is not the name of the Most High, just like Jesus is not the name of the Son of the Most High. Yahweh, why Yahweh Shai? That's
exactly.
That's the names.
So unless you call upon those names, man, that fountain of living water is not gonna get poured onto you. Yahweh Shai said, out of thy belly should flow rivers of living water. But you got to call upon them names. That's where it starts. Because if you don't call upon the names, you're down the wrong path. You know. So that's the first step into knowing the Most High, coming back to who you are, and who your power is. So for my people, I have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and hewed them out cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water. Christianity, Muslim, Allah, Egyptology, all those are broken cisterns. But because of that, because we forsook the Most High, is why He allowed these different nations to subdue us and force the religions upon us. Okay, Bishop, I see you back. I don't know if you got some. I got some more scriptures.
So I'm gonna go back here. I want to go back here and finish this up. Those scriptures you got, we'll tap. We're gonna tap back into them. Keep them on deck. So I'm gonna go back here. Now, back here in Babylon, the Timbuktu, what I was reading about, it says all parents on page 125 at the bottom. All parents. I'm gonna start here. It says, in March 1497, a command was proclaimed throughout Portugal for all Hebrew children between 4 and 14 years of age to be brought for baptism. All parents who did not bring their children voluntarily had their children taken away violently by the officials and forced into baptism, Cecil Roth writes. Scenes of indescribable horror were witnessed. It says, were witnessed as they were torn away by the royal bailiffs. The latter did not obey their instructions too closely, frequently seizing young people of both sexes up to the age of 20. In many cases, parents smothered their offspring in their farewell embrace. In others, they threw them into wells in order to save them from the disgrace of apostasy, and then killed themselves. Sometimes even old men were dragged to the churches and forcibly baptized by overzealous fanatics. Horrendous conditions like these and much worse compelled many Jews to escape secretly out of the country. These black Jews went to Portuguese colonial possessions in Western Africa. We've been talking about West Africa and going into the map in Western Africa, right? So now during this expulsion happened, a lot of the Jews ran to those Portuguese colonies that they had set up in West Africa, fleeing for what was going on, the Inquisition in Spain, right? I'm gonna put the map back up again. It said fleeing into what? Portuguese colonies in West Africa, which would be around here, Sierra Leone, and Cameroon, the island of St. Thomas, which is off the coast right here of West Africa, so on and so forth. These areas that the Portuguese had colonized here on the West Coast. Jakes was running from Portugal and fleeing there. I'm gonna go back. You got anything to say, brother, before I start reading again?
Yeah, I'm looking for that scripture where it says the Most High is going to spew us out of His sight. Yeah. Oh, this is Jeremiah. Jeremiah 7:15.
Got it pulled up.
Here, let me read two. Yeah, let me read two scriptures.
Put you up on the screen.
Okay. So Leviticus 18 and 28, it says, I'm just going to read the point. It says that the land spew not you out also when you defile it, as it spewed out the nations that were before you. Now this is going into when Israel, with the Most High sanctioned Israel to go into the land of Canaan and kick the Hamites out of there. And he said, look, what you see them doing, because remember the Most High kicked them out because they were committing
Most
acts of
odious works of witchcraft, right?
witchcraft, most odious works of witchcraft. Okay. Which included cannibalism, sacrificing children, homosexuality, right? All that stuff. So the Most High said, look, I'm going to give you this piece of land, but if you do what these nations are doing, if you following what they're doing, just like I'm about to spew these nations out, I'm going to spew you out also. And the way he's going to do that by way of using the other nations that come into that land and to kick us out. Like, for example, the Assyrians, how they kicked out Israel out of the land, right? As an example.
Yeah.
Right. And then if you go to Jeremiah 7:15, it says, and I will cast you out of my sight as I have cast out all your brethren, even the whole seed of Ephraim. And the point I want to bring out, Bishop, is you're reading about these different lands that we were pushed into, right? So right now we're specifically talking about the west part of Africa.
Yep.
But if you notice, because of following idols and not following the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High, he pushed us as far as possible away from our motherland, Israel.
Yep.
You know, because as we're reading these lands that we're scattered to, the Most High like pushed us away from Israel, the motherland. So when he
Yep.
said he's going to spew us out, he spewed us out as far as possible to the four corners of the earth, away from our original land. And right now, the heathens control it.
That's right.
You know, so I just wanted to bring that point out.
Okay. So I'm gonna go back here and finish this out. Now it says here, back here to Babylon and Timbuktu, page 126. It says horrendous conditions like these and much worse compelled many Jews to escape secretly out of the country. These black Jews went to Portuguese colonial possessions in Western Africa, right? Remember that the Portuguese colonies in Western Africa were Guinea, Saint Tome Island. Hold up. It's going to say Guinea. It says Saint Tome Island, which is all here on the West Coast. It's going to mention Sierra Leone, which is here. And it's going to mention St. Thomas, which is here. That's what it's mentioning. The Portuguese had settlements all throughout here. So let me go back here to the book. The black Jews went to the Portuguese colonial possessions in Western Africa. Remember that the Portuguese colonies in Western Africa were Guinea, St. Tome Island, Senegal, Angola, and a few islands near the African coast. During the persecution in Portugal, thousands of Jews left the country. The Jews were leaving the country in such large numbers that in 1499 and 1531, the kings published a decree forbidding the new Christians, black Jews, from leaving Portugal without special permits. Jake was taken off so much out of Portugal and Spain because of the Inquisition that in 1499 they passed some type of thing that you can't leave without a permit now. Don't that sound like how we in America? You got to get a what? Passport to leave?
Yep.
Right? And now check this out. It says, and at this time, many Jews became Christians out of fear. Many of them were known as secret Jews. So Christianity was what? It was forced on us. Them Jakes there knew who they were. They knew they was Judah, Benjamin, Levi. They knew the name Yahweh Shai. That Christianity shit was forced on them. So it says that they were doing what? They were playing the crypto. They were being crypto Jews, where they would outwardly act like they were Christian, but on the low, they knew they were supposed to keep the Sabbath. They knew they're supposed to keep the Day of Atonement. They knew they're supposed to keep the Passover, the Feast of Weeks, the Day of Pentecost. But they had to do it in secret. At this time, many Jews became Christians out of fear. Many of them were known as secret Jews, practicing Judaism in secret under the guise of Christianity. Some writers call these Jews nominal Christians, Jews who were Christians in name only. but practiced Judaism in secret. In spite of all the prejudices against the black Jews of Portugal, they excelled in all trades, skills, professions, and businesses. Wait a minute, like Jake now. When you look in the for instance, if we deal with the like New York, you got the transit in New York. Who's the main people out there that are driving the buses and that work on the trains and driving and train operators and all that, that are the mechanics,
Jake.
track workers and all that? Jake. You go to the airline. I used to go to the airline to drop stuff off in the cargo area, to be shipped and to pick stuff up that was coming in, whether it was international or domestic. I was going to Kennedy and going. I would mainly go to Kennedy, and I would go up to what you call it, the one up in
Oh, you're talking about
Windsor. What is it? Bradley. I would go to Bradley. I would go to Kennedy. Sometimes if I was in Boston, I had to go to Logan Airport, but mainly I was going down there to Kennedy. Kennedy. I never really went to what's the other one? What's the other airport? The one that brothers be coming in through in Queens.
yeah, now you made me there's JFK and there's LaGuardia.
LaGuardia. Now I've never gonna pick up nothing like LaGuardia, pick people up, but mainly it's Kennedy picking up cargo. And there at Kennedy, when you go in there to go give your license and your paperwork to show what you're picking up, and they take a copy of your license, and then they look on the computer for thing, tell you, look, go park at this door. It's all in there. All that's working in there is Jake, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, heavy Benjamin and heavy Levi working there at the airport. Judah there too, but most of the people there got a West Indian accent or speak with a Haitian accent. You know, like a Haitian person that speaks English, but you could tell that they speak Creole because the way that they talk English. And a person who speaks with a Jamaican accent, you know that, oh, that's a Jamaican, that's a Haitian cat right there. Oh, this is an American Negro. Most of the people working there in the cargo area that work that are bringing you the freight, or you're dropping the freight off to, is all Jake.
It's Jake, man. LaGuardia, or was it JFK, that been in construction for fucking some good amount of years now? I forgot which one. I think it was LaGuardia, right? They just kind of redid it. So the construction workers that were renewing the airport, it was Jake's Latinos, you know, those that are maintaining the highways and the roads, you know, breaking up the asphalt, pouring new asphalt. You know, you driving late at night and they got the bright lights on, and you got them construction workers working all through the night. You know, Jake's Latinos. We spoke about earlier that the stock market was Jake's and Latinos. Shit, we was talking about commerce, right?
Hold
the
up.
main
I
canal.
gotta say this too. So slug it, brother. Now I hear what you said. I gotta say this too. I'm seeing comments popping up in the thing. And first of all, number one, let me put this out here. This thing that we teaching, this ain't a blackety black fucking thing. Let me just put this out there. All right.
Right.
Judah, Benjamin, and Levi primarily are the ones that were left in Jerusalem during the onslaught in 70 AD and went into West Africa. Now there was some Ephraim there. Some of the other tribes still stayed behind. But prior to that, the tribes came over here in 724 BC under the Assyrian captivity. So all you blackety black motherfuckers, you can get the hell up out of here with that bullshit. All right? I'm putting that out there. Because this ain't no blackety black fucking thing that we talking right here. Because the other tribes is already over here in the Americas before the slave trade even started. After the death of Solomon. That's in the Apocrypha. That's a part of the history too. We're going to touch that on another day. But I just
that's true.
A lot of them. What you're saying, brother. I just have to say
no, that's true. A lot of them islands that the blackety blacks like to visit to chill, you know, DR, you know, a lot of them islands in the Caribbeans. There was the other tribes were there first. You know, they was there first.
That's right.
You know, where the conquistadors went. A lot of them areas is where Jake loved to go to vacation and, you know, take cruises and shit.
Yep.
Those were Latino tribes that was over there before first.
And let me say this too about going, since I mentioned Solomon. During the time of Solomon had a great navy. Now, maybe next time around I'll go into it. We talking about Spain and Portugal. During the time of Solomon's reign, right? When the ships were leaving from Jerusalem, coming over here to the Americas to gather wood and apes and ivory and all that, and bring it back to beautify Jerusalem. And the scriptures say Solomon rejoiced at a bounty every 3 years. There were 2 routes. It wasn't just one route. See, in the book of Ezra, we read about how the tribes went into the Euphrates. They went through the Euphrates and came into the Indian Ocean, which is on the east coast of Africa. When you come into the Indian Ocean, you got the east coast of Africa, and you got the island of Madagascar on the other side. Once you come up through the Indian Ocean, you go under the Horn of Africa into the Atlantic. That's the route that the tribes took. Solomon's navy was going that way, but they also went straight through the Mediterranean, because if you go west through the Mediterranean, it's going to dump you right into the Atlantic, which is going to put you over there by Portugal, Spain, the west coast of Africa, and in the Americas. If you go straight through the Mediterranean, west through the Mediterranean, it takes you right into the Atlantic. Now, during the time of Solomon, there's information that there was a colony of Jakes that set up shop and stayed in Spain from the time of Solomon. Then when the time of the up until the time of when Yahushua was crucified in Jerusalem, those Jakes that was in Spain was being persecuted, and they said, look, we didn't have nothing to do with the persecution of Jesus in Rome. We've been here since the time of Solomon here in Spain. There's information on that people don't never talk about. There was Jake that was set up sitting in Spain even from the time of Solomon all the way to the time of Yahushua. That's before even Apostle Paul. Because remember, didn't Paul go to Spain? Didn't he go through them areas? Because there was Jews there. And they was there since the time of Solomon's navy, making them voyages through the Mediterranean, coming into the Americas back and forth. And we're going to go on that another day. But I just wanted to make.
Yep, Khan.
Go ahead, brother.
I kind of forgot where I was at, so
it's a lot here, man. I didn't mean to. It just came out. But you know what? I'm gonna touch back on this again right here, where it says about the. I just had to say that, man, because we don't play that blackety black shit. Yes. Originally the tribes are dark, of course, but through our dealings and being scattered, we look like the other nations that we've been scattered amongst. So you don't maintain the same phenotype that we had 2,000 years ago. We ain't gonna have the same facial features or the same complexion that we had 2,000 years ago, because we've been scattered. We've been scattered, and we're among these nations. That's it. Now, again, here it says, at this time, many Jews became Christians out of fear. Many of them were known as secret Jews, practicing Judaism in secret under the guise of Christianity. Some writers call these Jews nominal Christians, Jews who are Christians in name only, but practice Judaism in secret. In spite of all the prejudices against the Black Jews of Portugal, they excelled in all the trades, skills, professions, and businesses. Remember Black Wall Street? Jake was all the higher. They were the labor in America. They were the skilled labor. So when we came out of slavery, Jake had the ability to know how to build roads, irrigation, to build a house, planting crops and all that. They were able to do everything for themselves and set up a bustling section of town. And they couldn't deal with Esau because Esau wasn't dealing with them. The white man didn't want to deal with them, so they dealt among themselves. And they excelled so much there in Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Durham, North Carolina, and Rosewood in Florida. Jake excelled so much that Edom came and burnt it down out of what? Jealousy. Out of straight jealousy. But even back during this time, Jake were masters at all trades and skilled professions. And still like that to this day. It says the wealth of these Jews was tremendous. Portugal is a small country about the size of the state of Florida. Nevertheless, in the year 1610, the Jews alone were worth 80 million ducats, if I'm pronouncing it right. The Jews dominated commerce and export trade so naturally, the Black Jew would engage in commerce and trade in many ports of Africa after they had fled from Portugal. So there's a lot of money that's owed to us. So we ain't gonna get that money. We're gonna get your ass. You so-called white people. We're gonna get your ass. And that
Yeah,
goes
we don't need that.
and we're gonna literally get your ass in slavery. Not the way that you want us to get it either. Because you're a damn homosexual. But
Yeah, Hama.
I'm gonna end it with this. Revelations 13:9. If you have nothing else to say, brother.
Nah, go ahead. You got it.
Right. It says here, Revelations 13:9 and 10. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity, which is slavery, shall go into slavery captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So that's going to be our reward. We're going to get your ass, and we're going to torment and we're going to torture you damn so-called, but not just the so-called white man, the Arabs, the natural continental Africans, the East Indians, Chinese, Japanese, all the other nations that had a hand in bringing Israel down. Every last one of you we're going to get, but the number one top dog is that so-called white man.
Con. Hey, you know what? We might as well end it with Joel 3 because it
Go right
basically
ahead.
just recaps what you said.
I'll pull
All
it
right,
up.
so
I'll pull it up on the screen for you, and you can just read it. Joel, wait,
I got.
You got it up?
Yeah, I got it up.
Okay, well I'll click you in.
All right.
If you got it, I'll put you in right there. Go ahead.
Okay, Con. So this is Joel 3, and we'll just read like to the, verse 7. Joel 3:1. It says, "For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem." And this is a time we are approaching now. What does it mean when it says, "When I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem"? It means the Most High is going to take us out of this captivity that we're currently in. The Most High is going to deliver us up out of it. And why does it say Judah and Jerusalem? Hey, because just like we're talking about, right? Judah represents what? Judah, Benjamin, and Levi,
Yep.
which you would call Negroes today, you know. And during the Roman Empire, because we're talking about the Roman Empire, they called them Jews, you know. And the Jews were mainly Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, but they just called them all Jews.
Yep.
You know, like they like to say all niggas look the same. They just called us all Jews. And the other tribes, which are known by Jerusalem, they were already scattered, going back to the time of the Assyrian Empire. You know,
Yep.
you mentioned 724, right?
Yep, 724
when
BC.
724 BC, when they said, "Look, we're gonna just get on a ship and we're gonna go into different lands where we could practice the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High." You know, and you know what? Real quick, Bishop, if I could bring this out because I think it's an important point.
Yep.
Because I was bringing up earlier how the Most High spewed us up out of the land. When the Most High said that ye shall discontinue from thy heritage, I think that's Jeremiah 17. I think that's verse 4. I could be mistaken, but he said he's going to discontinue from our heritage. There's a couple things you do to disconnect people from their heritage. And one is you remove them out of the land. All right. So this is what happens when you disconnect people from their land. And I just did an AI search real quick. And it says disconnecting people from their land can have profound and lasting effects on both individuals and communities. Here are some key consequences. Let's read a few of them. Number one, loss of identity. Land is often deeply tied to cultural and national identity. Disconnection can lead to a loss of heritage. Right? The scriptures say what? You shall discontinue from thy heritage. Heritage, traditions, and a sense of belonging. This is why one of the first curses the Most High did is he got us up out of the land. He spewed us out of there. We read the scripture earlier in Leviticus 18, where the Lord said, if you follow these the gods of these other nations, I'm going to spew you out of the land just like I spewed the Canaanites out of the land. So that's ultimately what happened to us. All right. And this was the beginning of us losing our heritage. Because once you disconnect people from the land, guess what? They have kids and they have granddaughters, grandchildren, and then great-grandchildren. By the time you get 2 or 3 generations down, the identity is gone. It's lost.
That's true.
Complexion because at that point,
phenotype too. Complexion, phenotype, all of that, it changes.
All that changes. Yep.
Just take
psychological.
one generation.
Exactly. And it says too, psychological impact. People may experience trauma, anxiety, and a sense of dislocation. Imagine if you take, this is why when you have an animal, right, and you take them out of their natural habitat, you bring them out, let's say you bring them to a zoo, you can't put them back, you can't put them back in a natural habitat because they're now they're totally mentally fucked up because
Right.
we disconnected them from their natural habitat.
And the other animals that are there will tear their ass up because they
Yeah,
don't have the instincts or the defense mechanism to deal in that environment because they didn't grow up
Con.
doing it.
Yep. So that's basically what happened to our people, you know? Psychological impact. People may experience trauma, anxiety, and a sense of dislocation. This can lead to mental health issues and a feeling of alienation. Now, we are alienated Ephesians, right? We have became aliens to what? The Commonwealth of Israel, you
That's
know,
right.
which was the land of Israel. We became aliens to it. And to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua, we became aliens to our power, you know? And we suffering what? Mental health issues. Really, that's what we're all suffering. We're still suffering. Our people are in a state of trauma. That's why I was in Isaiah. It says that the whole head is sick. We're suffering from mental health
Yep.
issues. And Yahweh Shai said, what? They that are, how to say, they that are not sick are not need of a physician. So the
They
physician
that are whole
is
have no need of a physician.
they that are whole. But we need a physician. Our physician is Yahweh Bashim Yahushua in these scriptures because we are sick. We think we're Negroes. We think we're Dominicans, Issacharites. We're into Christianity. We're into Muslim philosophy. You know, we're into Buddhism. A lot of our women now are into Satanism. They're proud Satanists, you know, and
brother,
witches.
No, brother. They've always been into Satanism. That right there, nope. Genesis, the
I
third chapter.
stand corrected.
From the beginning, they've been into Satanism. They didn't just go there. Let me say this: all these church going ass mother effing women, black ass women, Hispanic women. Number one, let me tell you something. I remember being a kid. I don't give a damn if it was my mother, which is Puerto Rican, or my aunties on my father's side, which would be Judah, Benjamin, or Levi, right? They all knew about doing a love spell on a nigga by taking their period blood and putting it in spaghetti or something like that. But they go to the Christian church or they was at the Catholic church. So what is that? Witchcraft. They would go in my mother and my grandmother then would have a Santeria woman come to the house. So I remember being an 8-9-year-old kid seeing it. Now they would send us out the house, but now that's on the Ephraimite side. Now on the black side, they was dealing with the roots and all that. Dealing with the root. I'll have go to the root, have her put a root on your ass. So they was always into Satanism.
That's true, man. Yeah. Well, why you think the Most High?
The black woman from the goddamn islands, the black woman here in America, the black woman down in South America, the Hispanic, the Indian woman on the reservation, the Indian women down in South America, and St. Thomas, St. Kitts, St. Croix, and all that. All the motherfuckers is into Satanism. All of them.
Yeah, that's facts. Here in America as well, in the hood.
Straight facts.
You know, that in the hood, you got a lot of these Caribbean women. You know, and I'm thinking about Levi, but all of them, they have that one main witch, and her whole fucking basement is set up as a fucking what do you call that shit? Where they go and they do their shit. You know, they light up the candles and they do their ceremonies.
Like a botanica or something.
Like a botanica, yeah. And they might give her gifts or pay her money. And like every Friday or whatever Saturday night, they're all down there. And they used to do the same shit, man. You go back to the history of Haiti and these different slave revolts where they would go in the woods and have ceremonies and shit and sacrifice black pigs, you know. And they do the same thing in the hood. They'll go downstairs in some old bitch basement, right? She might have a house, and it's mostly women, but you got niggas too. They go there and they pay this bitch money and they give her gifts for the bitch to do some voodoo shit to make them win the lotto. And hey, bro, them demons be blessing them motherfuckers. They'll hit the lotto numbers, you know, to hit the lotto, or maybe a bitch want to know if her man is cheating on her, or she found out the nigga's cheating and she want to put a spell on him. And they'll gather together in these houses, and then they do their ceremonies down there, you know. And then you wonder why somebody's house got shot up, or a tornado came through and tore somebody up. Hey, Israel, the scriptures say, "My people have become more wicked than the wicked." You
And
know,
you know what, brother? I was
Israel's
gonna.
doing some shit, man.
No, you're right. And since you mentioned about with the things that Levi doing all that, I know we about to close out, but you know what? Since you mentioned it, I got to read another little excerpt from here, and then we'll just close it out if you don't mind.
Okay.
Because you said something. You said something about Levi and about the voodoo and all that, right? We talking about
Con.
West Africa and Christianity colonizing us and all that, right? So I'm gonna jump back over here, right, to Babylon and Timbuktu, and just continue on. Now watch this. It goes on to say, page 127, the Black Jews of Angola. Now Angola, we know is Angola is here on the west coast. I believe it's around over in this region over here. But it says the Black Jews of Angola. Now listen to this, page 127. In the country called the Gabon near the Congo, which the Congo, that's the west coast of Africa, there were Black Jews known as Vavumba. Some writers call them by various names such as Mavambo or Mayamba, Mayamba, and Mavamba. Abby Proyart, a French writer, says that these Jews held the coast of Loango between the Congo River and Rio Muni and Gabon. In 1776, their country began about 60 miles from the coast and extended north from the Congo. About 200 miles in appearance, these Black Jews are hardly distinguishable from the other Africans, right? It has been reported that these Jews practice some divination and magic like the native Africans. However, they observe some Jewish ceremonies and live in a separate community, not considering themselves native Africans. Because why? They're Israelites. You hear that, right? What it said they were doing, brother? They were practicing divination, and they said they were called what? Bavamba, Mavambo, Mayambo, and they said they were by the Congo and
Mm.
by the Logan. Now let's go back to this map. Now Gabon, right? Now you see the name in here, Mavambo Jews,
Yeah, yeah.
Morando Jews, Saint Tome. Now look over here on this map. It says Beni Ephraim. Then it says here Levite cities. You see that? In the areas that they were talking about, Levite cities. You see it right there. And then it's another one that
Con.
says Levite something here. Levite something, Levite cities. So that was who? That was Levi. It said
Yeah, you read
they practiced
Mumbo
divination.
somewhere? Where was
Yeah.
that?
It said Movumbo. Right? Now I'm gonna go back to it right here in Babylon and Timbuktu. It says various names like Mavambo, Mayambo, Mayamba, Mavamba, if I'm pronouncing it right. And then it goes on to say that they practice divination, right? It says, however, it says it has been reported that these Jews practice some divination and magic like native Africans. However, they observe some Jewish ceremonies and live in separate communities, not considering themselves native Africans. Because they weren't native Africans. That's Levi, man. Who else?
Yeah.
Who else is doing that? That's Levi.
Hey,
Man.
if you want to switch real
And where
quick,
they at? And where they at, brother? Right here. Go back to the map again. Levi. Let me go back to this map.
God.
Right here. Levi. Right here. Levi cities. Levi. Right over here in the Cameroons. Mavumbo Jews. Right here. Levi. This is where Angola is at over this way. Angola's over this way. The Congo Angola is up over around this way. Like it was saying there in the book. This is an old map, so it doesn't say that, but in the modern map, this area would be around where Angola and the Congo is at, where they said that this particular group of Jews was. That they live separate from everybody else. Now, weren't the Levites separate?
Con.
And they dealt with the administering of the ceremonies of the Most High, and Levi went off into that left-hand side. It said they practiced divination like the Africans, but they didn't consider themselves native Africans. Why? Because they wasn't native Africans.
Yeah, they call that that word mumbo,
Yeah.
whatever it's called there. Yeah, they call that today in Haiti. They call that munbo.
Look at that.
MANBO, or they could say mumbo, MAMBO, which
Look at that.
I believe is a derivative of that word, but
Yeah, Mavumba.
in Levi, that represents a priestess, a witch. They call him
Mm,
Mumbo today.
hold up. They practice divination, right?
Yep, divination,
So we just
witchcraft.
went to the map. I'm gonna put the map up again, man, and we just gonna end it off here. Right there. See the map? It says right here where Ephraim is at, right on top of Ephraim, it says Levite cities.
Check
Look at
that
that.
out. Yep,
So it's no mistaking who these people are that were taken, that left Spain, that fled Spain and Portugal and was sent to the Portuguese settlements, and then from there it came to St. Thomas and came to the mainland America. Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Now this particular group we read about, that got to be Levi, man. That's Levi.
which are
It's,
today's
it's
so-called Haitians.
yep, today's so-called Haitians. For those of you that are ignorant. So that's pretty much it, brother. I think we pretty much covered it. So
Con. Yeah, yeah.
so with that, hope brothers learned something from this. And we like to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh,
Hawa,
Hashem,
Ba'ashem,
Yahweh Shai,
Yahweh Shai,
Hashem
Ba'ashem,
Rakakwadash,
Kakwadash.
and say shalom to the next one.
Shalom.